short run. Purpose to run really well, give the bike a run of course, and get out on a nice day, which is rare at the moment. And of course this is the Go Pro Hero11 I'm running at the moment. It's really a bit of a comparison as against the Drift Ghost XL, which I run. Normally the Ghost XL is my sort of go-to, simply because battery life. It is something you can stick on at 8 o'clock in the morning and come home at 5 o'clock at night and it's still sort of up together and running. But obviously the GoPro is a far superior product. It's got all sorts of stabilisation and what have you, which the Drift lacks. But I find it a faff, and the prospect of getting media mods and all that sort of thing and bolting it to a helmet don't really appeal to me. As I say, the Drift camera does that, albeit with some jittery and not as good footage. But this one tends to sort of be something I would use, either bolt to the handlebars or sometimes a chest harness, although that is a complete and utter faff to get on and off. A couple of times I've nearly thrown it in the bin, and of course you've got to get the angle of the camera right, etc, etc. But realistically, the Drift is a more usable product, although it's a lump on the side of the helmet, as it would be the GoPro. I'm not fond of things on the helmet, to be perfectly honest. I have sort of reservations. We all go and buy these somewhat marvellous, either Go ACU rated or EC2206, whatever it is, crash helmets, and then bolt this basically crap to them and would doubtless destroy their performance. But yeah, we know we have to sort of, we are where we are, aren't we? As I say, the chest harness is good, but you have obviously no voice, and bolting to the handlebars is a bit restrictive. I find that the stabilisation and the levelling, I can't remember what you call it now, works really well on this. I'm very impressed with it. This is the first time I've shot in 4K, or I don't think YouTube will allow me on I've just got a basic account. I think you have to pay extra to upload 4K. I don't know, I'll have a look when I do it. But it certainly seems to be a good picture. I'm not too au fait with all the settings, so it's all a bit hit and miss, and sometimes I get it wrong. Still not convinced I'm getting the same sort of footage as some of the, I say professionals, but yes, people who do this for I'm going to say living. But then again, they're probably paying extra for the 4K, if that is the case, but I shall see. One of the big problems I have with 4K is the laptop which I use is probably a bit ancient now, and it bulks a bit at downloading it all, and sometimes you get it sort of failing. I did run for a while DaVinci, which was a superb system, very complex, and that really did seem to spit it out, even at 1070 sometimes. Just didn't like big files and what have you, but I think that's more my computer than anything else. And as I say, the DaVinci is good, and I was getting my head around it, but it's quite complex. So this is just edited on, I think it's called Clipchamp, which is the Microsoft sort of free offering with your computer. It's sort of okay, it's a bit basic. Again, it suffers from a bit of sort of chewing up and bulking, and occasionally buffering they call it, not bulking. And that's because it's an online thing. The old Microsoft editing thing was nice and simple, and to be honest, yeah, it was just something you could do without too much thought, whereas the Clipchamp's a little bit more finicky, a little bit more, obviously more benefits, more options. So as I say, I think the problem really is my computer, so I shouldn't complain about it too much. It's free after all. Then so is the DaVinci, I think. I'm sure there are other offerings, and a lot of people have better ideas on what to run, but I'm no great expert, so I just run it as I see it. We get sometimes a little bit of breaking up of the picture, but again, I'm not sure whether that's the processing or whatever. But I recently shot a few clips of a trip away. That was on the Ghost, and that was all okay. I was trying to remind myself to not look around too much, because I am, I suppose, guilty of, well, doing all the right things, mirrors, shoulder checks, all that sort of thing that you do. So you have to be a bit selective about the footage you choose, because it's no good if you're going to wave your head around when you've got no stabilization. It goes all to pot. So this is a pretty good option, and you can, as I'm doing now, dub it over with speech. And it was, I'm going to say 20 odd miles to the cafe, which I will reach in a moment. I think about 20 miles. It's probably half an hour, maybe 40 minutes. I think I wafted around getting petrol and something. And to be honest, the GoPro tends to sort of, I haven't really timed it. It seems like 40 minutes is about where it gets to before the battery is about to go flat. So all of that is a complete and utter faff, of course, if you've got to sort of stop and change batteries. And I don't know how these people do it. Well, maybe they've got some sort of power pack running it, I don't know. And of course, occasionally, I know, I've not had it myself, but I've heard that they can get hot and just shut down. So it is what it is. As I say, I sort of tend to opt between the two. If I'm on one of the old bikes, I run maybe the GoPro, so I can strap it to myself or the bike, and I'm not normally going that far. If I were to take this bike down to the coast, which is a couple of hours run, I would probably just put the drift on, because it's just so much easier to not worry about batteries all the time. And the footage is, as I say, the footage is not as good, nowhere near as good, but it's footage, and this isn't really produced for anybody to criticise the footage. It's just fun stuff, really. But anyway, we've bounced around a little bit in Oxfordshire, or just up to the local cafe, really. Nothing too elaborate. Suddenly, whilst I was at the cafe, I met a chap who had a Vincent Rapide, very, very nice Rapide. I don't know how much they're worth, 50k, I don't know, maybe more, maybe less, I'm not sure. But then I left there and suddenly realised I'm late, and whizzed myself home. Tried a different route, which is taking this little cutback you see now. Takes us, you can go straight down that road, which leads us straight down past a place called Woodcut into Caversham, which is North Reading, I guess. And that's a nice road, quite open, quite steady bends, but you've then got to thread your way through Caversham. So often I'll just elect to go this way, which is a little bit more country lanes, and you sort of pass through there's a couple of little villages, but basically sort of windy roads such as suit the sort of older bikes. It's not really big bike territory, it's a little bit small, although saying that, it's plenty of good roads for overtaking. There's 3 or 4 routes you can take back from the H Cafe back to Reading, where I live. You can go all the way out one way towards Didcot, and you can cut back some very nice roads through the back of a place called Cholsey. And there's also, you can veer left and go to Henley, which is another quite pleasant road, big open roads there, so quite a nice ride. As I say, several different options you've got if you sort of mix it up. I just get bored with going down the same road. I know some people go to this place on a regular basis, just go on the same road back again. I tend to find it's easier on my mind to keep mixing it up. Not really wanting to go too mad. I mean, I think we cracked on a little bit on a few of these roads, but realistically it's not going that fast. Bike feels like it's doing about 1 million miles an hour, to be honest. I think the highest speed I cracked it was 70 miles an hour, which is obviously exceeding the speed limit, but not by a huge margin. And we've got the Oxfordshire villages, which have got the 20 mile an hour speed limit in. Again, nobody adheres to it, but nobody takes the piss, if that makes sense. You tend to sort of roll through it between 20 and 30 miles an hour, and depending on how open it is, you know, who's about, school children, horses, you've got to be mindful of all those things. We come down here now to Goring, and we chop a left, really skimming the sort of side of the way we came. There used to be a pub on that corner there. Now it's a Tesco. Well, many pubs are now Tesco's, it seems. And these little roads are, well, I say cut throughs. Yeah, they are cut throughs. Used to be a good cut through, but the top of the hill here, which comes along in a minute, leads to a turning right. So we go down to the Whitchurch, a village called Whitchurch. There's lots of Whitchurches around the south of England, and indeed the north of England, as I understand it. Just basically means white church. I'm sure the church was once white, but I don't even know where the church is in Whitchurch anymore. Pleasant little village just on the other side of the Thames to us, so still quite busy, considering that there's a toll bridge coming up. The toll now is it's gotten expensive. It's not outrageous, but if you're in a car travelling every day, and I'm sure you can probably buy packets of tickets, but I think it's 60 pence for a car. Bikes go free. You often get a bit sneered at by drivers. Obviously they think, well, you shot through there without paying, but bikes don't pay, so the instruction is to keep hard left and you sort of go around the barriers. I did once see somebody managed to do exactly that, and the barrier came down, and he fell. I think the barrier stopped, obviously some sensor, or the lady in the booth hit the stop button, but he fell off anyway. But you have to be hard left to go around it, so you've got to be a bit mindful of the traffic, because car drivers can be A, confused, or B, peed off and try and outsquirt you as you come across that bridge. It can be quite humorous sometimes. Nice little village, as I say. One of those places where you think, yeah, if you had a few more pounds in the bank, you might want to live there, but I'm not so sure. You're a bit stuck. You've got Tollbridge one side, quite a busy road, as I say, surprisingly, because it is a good cut through. Surprisingly busy little bit of road here, but there are some fine houses here, mostly just off this road, obviously. And further down there are some very, very nice houses actually on the river. And as I say, the attraction of it is just to be able to say you're in, I think this is Oxfordshire still, so you're the Oxfordshire side of the river. But we'll thread our way down here and catch up with the Reading Road. That sort of, we're only 2-3 miles from where I live, really, probably a little bit more maybe. Pangbourne itself lies the other side of this toll bridge. So Pangbourne is the River Pang as it rolls in and meets the Thames. I don't even know where, well, yeah, it meets the Thames at the Weir, of course it does. But the river itself, the River Pang, is one of those, I'll say rare commodities, but it's a chalk stream. So it comes under a little bit of let's say attention at the moment, because there is a Thames pumping station on the River Pang, which they do pump out an awful lot of water from. So obviously it's chalk streams, fresh water, but I think there's also some instances of the water being polluted by them. So at the moment the water companies in the UK are under the cosh, and quite rightly so. They've had 20 years to essentially reap the rewards without actually putting any investment in, so it's all gone a bit bad for them at the moment. But coming back to the cameras, I did used to have a Contour Roam, which was simplicity itself. I don't think there was even an app for it. One switch, it was on or it was off, and like a bullet camera, I suppose you still get from the cycles, that sort of thing. Obviously didn't have any great function on it, but it was one of those cameras that was just fantastic. It just did what it did, and it did it simply, efficiently, and without eating batteries or overheating or going bang in any sort of way. Over the years, I think there was a like a website you had to go to, and obviously Contour went, I don't know what occurred with them, they went one way or another, they just disappeared, either went bankrupt or bought or whatever, and Contour then was no more, and the camera went on for quite a while actually, until it actually suddenly just started to stop, and that's when I got the drift. So I wanted something of the same ilk, but it's slightly more complicated. You know, it's got one button pressed to start to record and everything, although it's a bit finicky. You have to be a little careful, because you bang it with your big gloves on, and you can sometimes switch it from video to photo or to burst or something like that. So you have to be a little bit mindful. And I've also invested in, I've got like a little remote control for it, so that little remote control is actually pretty useful. Anyway, that's us now as a Vincent, and we'll catch you next time.